When you're first working with the lightShark, especially if you haven't worked with lighting consoles like it before, you may be confused by some of the terminology. And so in this video, I just want to go through the basic terminology and workflow and break it down for somebody who's brand new to this. When we first launch the lightShark, the very first thing we need to do to get lights to show up is go in and patch. Now, patch allows us through the Add Fixtures window to select the lights that we'd like to use, select the mode, and then patch them, or tell the console in the patched window exactly what lights we want, and then the console will patch them to DMX addresses. Of course, this is all customizable, and again, check out the full tutorial videos for more info on that. Once we patch, we then see our fixtures in the patched window, as well as here in the fixtures view. Now, fixture is just a word for any light or device that we're controlling by DMX. Granted, most of the lights we're controlling actually are lights, but some things such as foggers and haze machines and other devices like that may be in the console as well, so we call them fixtures. Now, fixtures can be placed into what we call groups, which again are simply just a number of fixtures that we can select quickly. By default, we get these automatic groups, one for each type of fixture, but we can go in at any time, select any combination of fixtures that we'd like to make a group, and we can record those to a new group and name that whatever we would like. Once we have groups and fixtures, we're now able to select those fixtures either individually or through their group, at which point we're able to go ahead and control their parameters. Now, parameters is just a word that we use to describe the things that the light can do. We put those parameters into parameter groups, which are on the right side of the console here. So we have intensity, position, beam, advanced, gobo, and color. These parameter groups correspond with the buttons on the right side of the LS1 console. We're able to go ahead and just bring up and down any parameter we would like in order to get ready to program. Now, one thing we'll see within our parameters here is the ability to go to palettes. Now, palettes are a way that we can quickly select some lights and apply parameters to them that we've already predefined, or in the case of things like colors and gobos, we will see palettes that are predefined for the fixture when we patch it, if they have those capabilities, as this fixture does have gobos as well as colors. When we've gone ahead and we've taken some regular parameters here, and maybe also effects, which is where we modify different parameters in order to have a cool looking movement, we've then brought those parameters into what we call the programmer, accessible here from the program output screen. Now, the programmer simply shows us what attributes or what parameters of the lights we've worked with since we last pressed the clear button, which is here on the screen. Whatever is in the programmer will then be recorded to the next group, palette, or cue that we record. Now, cues are the finished work that we're able to play back within the lightShark. Cues are within cue lists. So when we press record and we press a plus button on one of these playbacks on the bottom, we get a single cue in a new cue list. Now, I've thrown out a few terms there that I want to define. The first being playback. In the lightShark, we have both playbacks at the bottom of our page and executors on the executor page. Now, the main playbacks are organized in 30 across, the first 10 on the main palette screen, and the rest in the virtual playback screen. And then also within 30 pages. The main playbacks can have multiple cues on a single playback that you can then play through. Those cues are called a cue list, as I mentioned. If we double tap on the top of any cue list with multiple cues, we'll be brought to the cue list window where we can then go and modify different aspects of the cue list. We also can go ahead and switch the cue list from step mode, which is the default, to chase mode, which allows you to make a chase that bounces through the cues at a defined BPM that is also tappable. You can also tap the tempo by holding on the number above the playback itself and pressing the flash key. In step mode, cue lists play in a more theatrical fashion where we can set fade in, fades out, and crossfades. The executors each have a single cue in them, and these cues are able to be played in tandem left to right and overriding each other vertically. Now, on the topic of playbacks, one last thing before we go is that within our playbacks, we're able to control both HTP and LTP type parameters. This stands for highest takes precedence and latest takes precedence. And if you think this doesn't apply to you, think again. Within the lightShark, the default behavior for playbacks is to record all of the intensities as HTP, that's in the fixture file that it defines this, and everything else as LTP or latest takes precedence. What this means on a practical level is that intensity levels will be determined by the playback that has the highest level of intensity. Okay, so if we have two playbacks, one's at 100% and one's at 30% intensity wise for a particular light, the one that's at 100% will win the output, even if the one at 30% was played more recently. However, for all other parameters such as colors, gobos, beam position, they work off of an LTP format or latest takes precedence. Within latest takes precedence, the most recent play is what gets the output to the stage. So in this example, if we had our third playback here at 30%, but it changed the color from red here on the first to blue on this third one, then we would go ahead on this blue playback, and if we brought it up even just to 30% here or around there, the colors would change to blue for those particular lights because it's what we've played most recently. With that, if you're new here, thanks for hanging out. Be sure to subscribe here and check out the rest of our lightShark tutorials as you begin learning how to use the lightShark. Thanks.